Data protection and privacy teams are under more pressure than ever with new laws, AI oversight, data breaches, and the constant expectation to do more with fewer resources.
That's why TrustArc built a modern privacy and data protection management platform powered by Arc Intelligence. It unifies your tools, automates the work that slows you down, and surfaces what matters most right when you need it.
From guided quick actions to our intelligent assistant, Ask Arc, you get credible, contextual answers backed by expert research, not generic AI guesses.
Finally, privacy that works the way privacy pros work.
Learn how TrustArc helps teams move faster with confidence at trustarc.com/serious-privacy. That's trustarc.com/serious-privacy.
You're listening to Serious Privacy, powered by TrustArc. Here are your hosts, Dr. Kay Royal and Paul Breitbart.
In this week's episode, we'll talk about the new IAPP, the Global Privacy Assembly, the work program of the European Commission that will take office later this year, AI training and ad enforcement in France. And of course, we'll have a laugh. As always, my name is Paul Breitbart.
And I'm Kay Royal, and welcome to Serious Privacy. So, Paul, it's been a couple of weeks, it seems, since you and I actually connected with all the traveling and visits and whatsits that we've been doing. So, speaking of traveling, speaking of that, here's the question for today. Window seat or aisle?
Aisle.
Okay, would you like to think about that for a second?
No. This has been my preference for a very long time. I mean, the window is nice to look outside for a moment when you take off or land or on a train as well.
Traveling to new places, yeah.
Yeah, but I much prefer the aisle. It's just easier to get to your things. It's easier to get in and out. And no, I much prefer the aisle, and I even more prefer a solo seat. I know on planes that's only available in business class, but on trains, solo seats, especially in first class train travel, that's fairly common. And then you have the convenience of both the aisle and the window. That's perfection.
Which is perfect. Now, we just went on a cruise where 3 young
children... You had a window seat in your cabin?
Oh, my God. A 3-year-old, one that turned 5 on the day we flew, and a 6-year-old, and 3 adults. And so we sat them 2 and 2, adult to kid, adult to kid, adult to kid. I got the little princess, of course. And I booked window and aisle on 3 rows. And my daughter hates it when I do that. And I'm like, sweetie, this just means that if possible, if you book middle and aisle or middle and window, someone's going to take the other one. But if you book the window and the aisle, then someone may skip the middle in lieu of another. And if they do have someone there, you can always offer to swap the window and the aisle for them, which is what we did for most of the trips. What we didn't take into account was throughout the 5-hour flight, the kids, I want to sit with mommy. I want to go sit with Geepa. Well, I don't want to sit here. Well, both of us want to sit with Mimi. Oh my God. We were literally handing children over the seats in between because it was
the advantages of solo travel.
Now, the cruise was fun. I think I've given you my rundown before on the Disney cruise. I wasn't so much of a fan. Everybody says Disney takes the kids off your hands and you do fine. But there were so many fun things to do during the day, and we wanted to do them with the kids. So I'm not a fan of the Disney cruises. Sorry, Disney. Love you. Raving fan. Not a big fan of the cruise with the small children that we took. However, Norwegian's was excellent. So I don't know how many people out there have your favorite cruise ships that you love to go on or brands that you love to go on. I've been on a few. My favorite by far is Norwegian. Sorry, I'll give a big shout out to Norwegian there. Their kids club is awesome, although the princess refused to go to the kids club. It didn't matter whether she would have had fun. I didn't anticipate having troubles out of her, but oh no, she wouldn't go to kids club. And the older one, which is usually the one that doesn't want to go do things with other people, was all about the kids club. He wanted to be there 24/7. So go figure. But it was wonderful. And I got COVID. We all got COVID. It turns out some of us got COVID. Some of us had flu A. Who cares? We were sick as dogs. That's lasting a while. I don't think my mother is recovered yet, but we all made it. And it was a great trip. And my mom had a wonderful 75th.
Well, that's the most important thing. And hey, you've got a big flight coming up. to the
Yes,
UK.
right, exactly. So yes, we'll be coming through London on my way to Jersey. I have booked my flights to Jersey. I have not booked the hotel yet. I've registered for the conference. Tim is coming. He's excited about the castles that are in Jersey because that looks amazing for the
War Tunnel
Global
Museum
Privacy
as well.
Assembly. Yes. So he's very, very excited to have some
Good.
things to do. And if y'all haven't registered for the Global Privacy Assembly, this is my first time going. Paul has gone every year and
Well, I've
browbeat
missed a
me into
few
going
years,
because
but
it's in Jersey.
yeah.
But you love it. What is it that you love so much about the Global Privacy Assembly? Because people are used to all these other conferences, but tell us about this one.
I think this will be my 10th Global Privacy Assembly. Well, this is the regulators conference, right? So you have the data protection authorities from all over the world who are there.
When you started going, right?
Yeah, I started going in 2011 when I was working for the Dutch DPA. This is indeed all the data protection authorities from all over the world. So you hear their views, their perspectives. And of course, during some IAPP conferences, you also have some regulators attending, especially in DC. You have maybe a few from Latin America, a few from Europe, every once in a while, maybe one from Africa or one from Southeast Asia. But the Asian commissioners usually would go to Singapore.
Right.
The Australian commissioner would go to the ANZ conference. The Europeans mainly go to Brussels, and the African ones are still waiting for the Africa IAPP conference to get started.
To have that too. And they've got some wonderful privacy laws that they've passed and enforcement actions and everything.
Exactly. And here at the Global Privacy Assembly, all of them come together because it is also their annual meeting. And I think that is already giving a whole different atmosphere than there is indeed some civil society. There is some business, some academia, and it's the different kind of discussions that are being had. It's you hardly see any vendors pushing product because there are no customers buying product.
Right.
So
these are all regulators. They're there for business.
Yeah, and I mean, the vendors that are there will actually talk about their thought leadership programs and papers that they have drafted. So you will see CIPL and FPF and the IAF there, and they will present papers and discuss, especially during the side events. And also different from a lot of other conferences, there is a gala dinner where everybody is in the same room.
And is that on the Monday night?
Ceremony. That's on the Wednesday night.
The Wednesday night. So I need to bring something nice to wear is what you're telling me.
Yeah, it's not a gala, black tie and all, but it's a nice dinner.
Something more than my Pink Privacy Club t-shirt.
Yes.
Okay. And I can avoid caffeine. We can manage to do this. And we're really very much looking forward to do it. Paul and I expect that we'll be able to get quite a few interviews, sit-down conversations with some of the regulators that we never get to see or talk to on a regular basis. I'm very excited about it. I think it's really, really cool.
So am I, but I have one more stop in between talking about Africa because Maastricht University is launching a data protection course for DPOs in East Africa. Amazing. So mid-October, for the first time, we'll do a DPO course in Nairobi, Kenya. And I'll be talking there the same I do in the regular DPO courses about the fundamentals of privacy. So the key principles, the key actors and roles, the role of the supervisory authority, individual rights, probably also some transfers, maybe some impact assessment angles as well.
Nice.
So I'm also looking forward to that one. Of course, sneaking in while I'm in Kenya anyway, a few days also for some sightseeing and especially some wildlife seeing with a game drive in one of the national parks.
I don't want to be hearing any stories of you making buddies with some sort of lion or wild elephant or something and going off to live in the wilds.
Well, the elephants are possible. I think I'm going to the Elephant National Park, Amboseli, on the Tanzanian border, because I've never seen elephants in the wild. I mean, a lot of the other Kenyan wildlife I've seen 3 years ago, I think by now, when we did episode 100 that was recorded from Kenya.
I remember that.
A long
There was
time
a lion
ago,
nearby, wasn't there? Like...
No, it was zebra and giraffe. But yeah, I did see lion then as well. But now I want to see the elephant.
Oh, that's just amazing. You're going to have to take some amazing pictures. And I understand you're going to see Mount Kilimanjaro, but you're not going to hike it.
Absolutely not.
You're going to save the hiking for when we can do it together.
I saved the hiking, first of all, when I'm going into Tanzania, because Kilimanjaro is in Tanzania. But no, I'm in no shape to hike Mount Kilimanjaro, which is one of the highest mountains in the world.
Okay, y'all, I'm not even rolling eyes here, people. I'm falling out of my chair laughing because Paul's in way better shape than I am. Anyway, it's a goal. It's a goal. We could do
Absolutely.
something that might qualify as a hike, but probably not Mount Kilimanjaro ever. We'll go from there.
Let's start with the beach walk in Jersey.
Exactly. I love it. I love it. So if y'all have not looked up the Global Privacy Assembly and you're looking at coming and you really want to have more of that regulator discussion and thought processes. I don't like to say thought leadership, but it's there too, but more of the bones and the foundation of privacy. Please do think about registering and coming. I've never been to one. I'm very, very excited about it. I'm expecting.
Or if you really want to be interviewed in person by Kay and myself for the podcast, that's another reason to come to Jersey.
Absolutely.
But let's stop with the travel schedule and see what's happened in the world, because actually there have some things that have been happening.
Has anything really happened? Because IAPP happened this week. So I know y'all will get this next week, but IAPP happened this week. And there were a few surprising announcements that came out.
The IAPP is no longer the IAPP.
Well, it's the IAPP, but it doesn't stand for anything.
It's no longer the International Association of Privacy Professionals.
It is did he announce the actual name, or is it
No,
just
the name will stay IAPP, but they will now not just cover privacy, but also artificial intelligence and digital security.
Yes.
And as part of that whole rebranding, they have also launched now their cybersecurity center under the leadership of Jim Dempsey. Great choice.
Yep.
So now there is the AI expertise, there is the cybersecurity expertise, and then the privacy that obviously will also remain in place. Absolutely. And my best guess is at some point there will also be a cybersecurity certification coming on top of the AI one and the privacy ones.
Absolutely. So if you didn't get the notification from Trevor Hughes, on the 23rd of September, he announced that the IAPP is the professional home for privacy, AI governance, and digital responsibility globally. They announced strategic updates to their mission and brand, along with the Cybersecurity Law Center. They have published the organizational digital governance report, details the digital entropy that organizations are facing due to how this all overlaps, which is really interesting because one of the academics that I work with, Dr. Dara Hoffman, and I have been working on a joint framework for privacy and records management. I can share more about that or give y'all a link to that lately because so much of it overlaps in this digital entropy. So the IAPP announced he gave 3 bullet points, expanded their mission statement, which now is to define, promote, and improve the professions of privacy, AI governance, and digital responsibility globally. They refreshed its brand to align with the mission, and it will no longer be the International Association of Privacy Professionals. As Paul said, it will simply be IAPP. Got a fantastic brain. It really does, but it's got a fantastic brand. So why lose that? And there have been some organizations in the past like this, which I think have done very, very similar things, like ISACA. I believe ISACA got away from what the letters stand for and kept the brand ISACA. I could be wrong, but that's the one that comes to mind for me. And the third point, as Paul said, was the Cybersecurity Law Center and appointed Jim Dempsey, which is absolutely a phenomenal choice. I love seeing this. I love seeing the updates from PSR. PSR is usually my most favorite IAPP to go to just because it's a smaller scale and it rotates what towns or cities that it is in. But you really do miss people when you go. These things are so big now that, Paul, I joke that I could have just literally waited till this week but oh my goodness, how did I miss you? And nobody would have known whether we were really there or not.
No, that's true.
There are so many people. There are some that I only ever see at the IAPP conferences, and I really do miss them when I don't see them. And I especially miss it if I don't get an opportunity to sit down and talk to people. Now, there's a lot of people that we've spoken to and that are friends of the podcast that say the same thing. 10 years ago, it was a different environment. 20 years ago, definitely a different environment. You could sit and talk to people and you knew everyone that was there, but now there are thousands and thousands of people from all over the world.
Absolutely. And that's at the same time also part of the fun.
Right? It's exciting. It's invigorating. We're like, we're a real professional now.
Absolutely. So what else is happening in the U.S.?
Oh, nothing's happening in the U.S. I mean, we've got Texas that actually had filed a lawsuit. Paul and I talked about this beforehand. Let me pull this up. You sent me the link. I should just open the link again. Okay. So as we've been talking about, Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton has been very, very active in privacy enforcement. And we gave you a story that he had filed a lawsuit against the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and other officials, not just the agency, to stop a new rule that would unlawfully restrict state law enforcement investigations. Now, this was to change the HIPAA that we also announced that was specifically designed to prevent states from being able to interfere or have sway over women's reproductive decisions. Hopefully I didn't click and clack through that. So he has filed a lawsuit with that. And let's see, did we have a decision? Or no, that's just the filing. Okay, so I may have to go back and fix that a little bit. Okay, so we talked earlier about the HIPAA filing. I'll go back and fix my language there. We talked about HIPAA passing a new rule to deliberately designed to stop states from interfering with women's reproductive decisions, whether pro or con. And now Texas, Ken Paxton, who has been very active in enforcing on privacy, as we lately talked about, has actually filed a suit against the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services. He has also named some specific individuals in there. We can give you the link to the suit that he filed, saying that they are unlawfully interfering with states' rights. So it'd be really interesting to see where this goes. I mean, Paul, we've been talking about, yay, Ken Paxton, and then we get to this. And I'm like, I can't argue with the state suing for states' rights, but I'm of an opinion that this is enough. This is an important enough decision that the federal government does have the ability to step in, as it does with all fundamental rights. But we'll see how this plays out. I don't know if any other states have announced any decision to join him. There are no other states named in the suit. So it's just from them. So it'll be really interesting how this plays out and where we might actually see any advances in this. So it's in the Northern District of Texas, the Lubbock Division. I don't know if any of y'all have ever been to Lubbock, but the district court's probably the most important thing there. So they have that. So it'd be interesting to see how this one plays out. Now, otherwise on the U.S. front, it's the standard. We have breaches, we've got lawsuits, we've got companies getting in trouble for doing things, but nothing really tremendously that has stuck out to me for this week.
Okay.
Other than this, there's probably something big I completely overlooked, having COVID and all, but.
Well, one of the things is that Instagram is introducing teen accounts, which might actually be relevant for your grandkids someday.
It might be relevant. Hopefully I will teach my grandkids to stay the heck off Instagram. But my daughter is one of the ones that shares everything about her kids on it as well. But we knew Instagram was looking at doing this. So that was a good announcement to see come out.
Yeah, and it would also allow parents to monitor children's activities and what kind of content they see, who they are messaging. So let's see. It could be a step in the right direction. I think that also this step from Meta is still criticized because it would still be teen accounts. So it would still be encouraging teenagers to create an Instagram account, but it might actually be a step in the right direction. And hopefully some of the other social media companies will follow suit. That would be really
Well, didn't we just in the past few weeks see one of our friends announce that they're now the chief privacy officer for TikTok?
No.
I think we did. It might be more than a few weeks ago, but it's really good to see companies taking this seriously. Speaking of other moves, Keith Enright, who gave one of the keynote addresses at IAPP, also announced that he is now partner in one of the big law firms. Do you remember which one that was? Hold on, let me pull that up. So we talked about it. I mean, yeah, he is now a co-chair for the Tech and Innovation Industry Group and Artificial Intelligence Practice Group at Gibson Dunn. So he made that announcement this week as well. So that's they're lucky to have him. That's a good move to make.
Absolutely. So one of the biggest things happening in Europe right now is the preparations for the new European Commission. You may have read some about that. The commissioner for all things digital, Thierry Breton, who was nominated for a second term, resigned with slamming doors because behind his back, Ursula von der Leyen, who is the president of the European Commission, went to the French president and said, hey, if you give us another guy or even better, another gal, then you would get a better portfolio. And the French agreed to that, so they withdrew the nomination of a second term for Breton.
I love politics.
But they didn't even get a better portfolio, probably because they didn't nominate a woman, but still a man, because the commissioner was looking for gender balance. She did not succeed. It's 40% women, 60% men. And there is still some fight with the European Parliament to be had. And the digital portfolio is actually going to be spread pretty thinly over a lot of different European commissioners who will all hold parts of the pudding, or be responsible for part of the pudding. And that's going to indeed make it interesting, because there will be a lot of different voices who we will see from and hear from in the next couple of years. But with the nomination also come the so-called mission letters. And that's basically the information that the president of the commission gives to the commissioner designate, saying, hey, this is how we're going to work together. And this is what I expect you to do. So based on those mission letters, you can actually get a bit of a taste of what the work program will be looking like. And the official work program for the new commission probably won't appear until the first quarter of 2025. But now we have quite a good idea of what might be coming. So let's start with some of the commissioners. Ireland, Michael McGrath will be the new commissioner for justice and consumer rights. The Austrian Magnus Brunner will be responsible for security, which also would include CSAM. The commissioner for social rights, and I'll tell you more why you need to know that, will be Roxana Minzatu from Romania. Then we have Stéphane Séjourné from France for the economy, and the digital vice president will be Henna Virkkunen from Finland. So Finland will be having a big role to play in all things digital, with the vice president for digital, but also, of course, the chair of the European Data Protection Board. So all eyes on Finland. But let's take a look at some of the legislation that's being proposed. And for all of this, we only have highlights. There is not a lot of detail yet, but it is interesting to take a look at. So, for example, when we look at consumer rights, there will be a new consumer agenda, 2025-2030, that will mainly look at the protection of vulnerable consumers to fight unfair market discrimination and ensure the free flow of cross-border goods. And that will be accompanied by the Digital Fairness Act. No timeline yet, but this will tackle the unethical practices and commercial practices related to dark patterns, marketing by social media influencers, addictive design of digital products, online profiling, and exploiting other consumer vulnerabilities. That is a big law. And to be honest, I'm surprised that the Commission has announced that they will pursue another big law after the DSA, the DMA, the AI Act, the Data Governance Act, the Data Act. All of those have been adopted in the past 12 to 15 months, are yet to be applied in full. They will enter into force in the next 2 years, 3 years, gradually. And already now they say, well, this is all not enough. There will be more, and we need that Digital Fairness Act.
Out of that, I'm eager to see what's going to come out of that.
I'm not sure whether I like the sound of it, but I'm equally eager.
Well, consumer protection is a driver of a lot of what we deal with. And so this is a natural adjacent area to that.
Yes, absolutely. So on the digital side, the Commission will make work of the setup of the European AI Research Council. There will also be an EU Cloud and AI Development Act to encourage European companies to also work on cloud computing, computational capital, and also to develop EU AI technologies, so to be less dependent on foreign jurisdictions. And there will also be new EU cybersecurity frameworks that will also come with certification schemes. So I think there will be some European alternatives to ISO or maybe the CIS or NIST controls that are coming. And we will see the development of the European Data Union strategy, which would make it easier for companies to share data with each other, also at scale, while respecting high privacy and security standards. I expect that that is something that could help train large language models based on European data with the right authorization, so without all the copyright infringements that we've heard before.
Right.
The final thing of interest, and that is why I mentioned the Commissioner for Social Rights, is that a right for workers to disconnect will be introduced. So no more midnight emails from your boss that you need to respond to straight away. No more weekend phone calls from your colleagues. Hey, can you help me out? You will get a right to disconnect. Also here, no details. Probably CEOs and general counsels somehow will be exempt. I guess somehow privacy lawyers will also be exempt in case of a data breach and what have you. But yeah, this is something that is currently on the agenda. More details likely in Q1 of next year, and then in the 5 years following to when the actual legislative proposals will be presented.
So keep your eyes and ears active, waiting for more developments on those fronts.
Yes, and not just them, but certainly also us.
Yes, of course. Always us. Always, always. What else have you got? Because there's been a little bit.
There's been a little bit. There's been some outcry because LinkedIn is using LinkedIn data to train AI models. Big
have you gone and
there.
opted out of that yet?
I have, and LinkedIn has by now confirmed they will not use data from the European Union, the European Economic Area, Switzerland, or the United Kingdom for their generative AI improvement. But obviously, what has already been used, and they will not be able to take it out anymore. But yes, I have opted out, and you will find that somewhere in your settings. You need to go to the data privacy tab in your account and then look for the data for generative AI improvement. There is a toggle there that will work.
And I think there's a link that we can share as well that you can go directly to that for it. And who knows? I mean, this was kind of snuck in sideways, right? 1:00 in the morning, snuck it in, didn't alert people to a material update to the terms of use or the privacy notice. So something that a few people discovered, perhaps accidentally. I was alerted to it by Violet Sullivan, our guest that was on the podcast. Hopefully I published her episode last week due to technology difficulties. But she was the first one that I saw that posted on it. Of course, there was a lot of other people that posted on it. So if you haven't heard about that, you need to go pay attention to that. I don't know that I want to have my contributions added to AI. Of course, this silly thing that they have about a top voice in blah, blah, blah topic. You've been invited. I love to contribute to those things. Sometimes I'm pretty sarcastic about them. Sometimes I'm just like, seriously, this is a question. This isn't a question. But I'm sure that is already contributed to their AI already, which if it does, then I'm one of those that loves to, what do they call it? The AI spam, putting deliberately false information into an AI to trick it or fool it or anything along that line. So I think I know most of y'all's opinions on these articles for you've been asked to be an expert voice in blah, blah, blah. Yeah, feel free to share your thoughts on that one too.
Or ask AI to do it on your behalf.
Exactly. You could do that
But
too.
it is indeed pretty sneaky. It's almost like they've taken a leaf out of Elon Musk's book, because he did the same when introducing the AI training for Grok in the X settings. Grok is the AI model developed by previously Twitter.
And there is something else that if y'all are not facing at work, you need to think about at work. I hear in the industry that this is very widespread, that AI note takers, such as Otter or some of these others, that people might acquire accidentally. I hear a lot of it's coming from being on a Zoom call and then you get this AI installed. It's not Zoom's AI, but there's different types out there. The one that comes to mind is Otter. But it installs, it will attend a meeting on your behalf. If you don't attend, it will even enter chat messages to make it sound like you're in the meeting and you're engaged. But it will usually only pop up as a chat message that someone turned on Otter AI as a note taker. As y'all know, this could be very damaging to a company. If it is a confidential call, it could destroy attorney-client privilege. It could do all kinds of nasty things out there. Seems to be very pervasive and insidious. And I've also heard from a personal basis that some people who somehow got it or have been in meetings have had this pop up in their message that they're the ones that turned it on and they didn't. And also that they maybe have only been in a call with one other person and they were like, "Hey, Paul, did you turn on this AI?" And Paul's like, "Yeah, I turned it on." "Okay, could you turn it off?" And Paul turns it off and it disappears from chat. However, it showed Kay turned on Otter AI for note taking, not Paul. So there's some very underhanded things going on here. So if you haven't noticed that happening in your company or in your personal life with your colleagues, with your family, please be aware that this is occurring. And it seems to be like one of these low-level colds that you can't get rid of and you can't treat, and you just got to know it's there and you have to step on it and take care of it, whether it's personal or whether it's professional. So be aware out there. That's my PSA for today. Be aware out there.
If you want to use tools like that, because I can understand for some people it's useful to use a tool to help them summarize their meetings, especially if you have back-to-back-to-back meetings. It can be helpful. But then at least ask everybody on the call for consent the same way you would do to record the meeting on video.
Right, exactly. And if you don't get their consent, I absolutely agree. And as Paul, being someone that's in meetings from the time I wake up to the time I go to bed at night, and I don't actually have time to read email or get any work done, I'm being a tad facetious there, but only a tad. It would be nice to have a tool to do this, but it would have to be a trusted tool. It would have to be an approved tool. It would have to go through third-party risk management. You'd have to do a DPIA on it. There's a lot of work done to make this happen. You can't just have someone just flip a switch and go, "Woohoo, let's make this all easy for me." That easy button comes with a lot of poison behind it. So just be careful and be wary of that.
So one final point also about a lot of poison, and that's mobile apps. The French Data Protection Authority, the CNIL, has recently, September 24, published their recommendations for better privacy protection. They had already released a draft version earlier this year, opened it up for comments, and they have now finalized the guidelines or the recommendations.
Exciting.
So they're aimed at mobile app publishers, mobile app developers, the providers of software development kits, the operating system providers, and also the app store providers. All of those have a role to play according to these guidelines. In any case, each stakeholder should be clarified. Their role should be clearly framed. User information should be much more detailed, much more clear, accessible than it is today. Permissions requested should really be necessary. So no asking for my address book if I just want to play a game, because that is absolutely no reason why that should happen. Also on mobile, consent to process data should be clearly and freely given, especially for targeted advertising purposes. So the full guidelines are available so far only in French. Only 98 pages. They're not binding.
These are aspirational.
Yes, but this is the way that the French interpret the legislation. Plus, they have also announced that as of spring 2025, they will deploy a special investigation campaign on mobile apps to ensure compliance with the applicable rules. And
now
the
I'm
applicable
seeing those
rules
red
are
lights
explained.
turning and
Exactly. The applicable rules are explained in these recommendations. So no, the recommendations are not binding, but if you want to deviate from them and you are being investigated by the CNIL, you have some explanation to do.
You might
not saying that it's
attention.
not possible. Absolutely not saying that, but be mindful. As of next year, there will be an investigation. I can imagine that the CNIL will not limit themselves to just some French apps, but may also take a look at some of the bigger international ones.
Well, this will be some good weekend reading. As I said, it's available in French only. We might have to grab Marie to come on here and give us her first thoughts of the interpretations. But I do wonder how this is going to conflict or support the app store providers, Google and Apple, on what they require for apps in order to be in their app store. So this would be some fun
reading. The app stores are also subject to these recommendations because that they are explicitly mentioned as one of the 5 parties to which these recommendations apply. So,
I did say I wanted to learn French, right?
Mm-hmm. To be continued.
To be continued.
We'll wrap up another episode of Serious Privacy. Join the conversation on LinkedIn. You'll find us under Serious Privacy. If you like the episode, share them with your friends and family and colleagues and everybody who is dear to you and dear to us. You will find Kay on social media as Heart of Privacy and myself as Europol B. Until next week, goodbye.
Bye, y'all.
If you're a data protection or privacy professional, you already know the pressure. Non-stop regulatory change, AI oversight, internal demands, and the expectation to somehow stay ahead of it all. And the old patchwork of tools just isn't cutting it anymore.
No. That's why TrustArc created a modern privacy management platform powered by Arc Intelligence. The TrustArc platform brings your workflows, evidence, research, tasks, and applications all together in one unified and intelligent workspace so you don't waste time digging, clicking, or context switching.
With Ask Arc, your privacy assistant, you can ask plain language questions about laws, jurisdictions, or even your own program data and get credible, cited answers based on NIMBY research and more than 1,000 global laws. It's explainable, transparent, and purpose-built for data protection and privacy.
So if you need to add a vendor, create a cookie banner, or start an assessment, quick actions take formally complex tasks, turn them into bite-sized guided workflows to save you time.
It's a platform that thinks like you, works like you, and helps you move faster with confidence, whether you're a seasoned DPO or you're just getting started.
See how modern privacy gets done. Explore Arc at trustarc.com/serious-privacy. That's trustarc.com/serious-privacy.